The unexpected match. Zyra stepped off her spacecraft, her boots pressing softly into the damp earth soil. She adjusted the small silver device on her wrist. The Soulmate device. It was a piece of advanced alien technology, designed to detect the perfect genetic and emotional match for her species. Her people, the Stellari, had mastered logic, science, and the stars. They did not believe in love. Love was irrational. Instead, they relied on pure compatibility. The device ensured that each individual found their perfect mate, based on biology, intelligence, and emotional balance. Zyra wasn't here for love or even a match. She had a mission: observe humans, study their behavior, and return home. She had no interest in primitive species, but Earth was full of surprises. She walked through the busy streets of a human city, her deep violet eyes scanning her surroundings. Tall buildings stretched high, flashing lights blinked, and the sound of laughter, car horns, and conversations filled the air. The humans were so loud, chaotic, unpredictable. She sighed. How did they survive like this? As she crossed the street, her device beeped softly. Zyra glanced down. Strange. That only happened when another Stellari was near, but that was impossible. She was the only one on this planet. Her gaze lifted and locked onto a man. He was tall, with messy dark hair and tired but kind eyes. He was working under the hood of an old vehicle, his hands covered in grease. He wiped sweat from his brow and muttered something under his breath. Zyra's heart did something unexpected. It skipped a beat. The device on her wrist flickered. A warning. A signal. The tiny screen on the device flashed a message in Stellari language. Perfect match detected. Zyra froze. Her fingers trembled as she tapped the device. This was impossible. The device had never made a mistake before. But it had to be wrong. Humans were not compatible with her kind. They were primitive, driven by emotions instead of logic. She took a cautious step forward, watching the human carefully. He looked normal, unremarkable, and yet the device kept flashing. Then the worst happened. The man turned and bumped into her. His rough, calloused hand brushed against her skin for a split second. The Soulmate device exploded with energy. A blinding flash of blue and white light erupted from the device. Sparks flew. The screen cracked. The air around them buzzed with static electricity. Zyra stumbled back in shock, eyes wide. Her entire body tingled, as if an electric current had shot through her veins. The man looked just as surprised. "Whoa, what the hell was that?" he said, rubbing his arm. Zyra couldn't speak. Her mind raced. She had spent years studying the universe, learning the most advanced sciences, traveling through different galaxies. And yet, she had never seen this happen before. The device was malfunctioning. It had to be. The human frowned at her, concern flickering in his brown eyes. "You okay?" Zyra took a shaky breath. She had two choices: run back to her ship and pretend this never happened. Stay and figure out why the device reacted this way. Her scientist's mind wouldn't let her leave. She forced a calm expression and nodded. "I am fine." Her voice was smooth, though inside she was anything but fine. The man gave her a strange look. "You sure? That thing on your wrist just went crazy." Zyra glanced at the device. The once sleek silver metal was now cracked and flickering, barely functional. It had detected a match, a perfect match. But instead of a controlled response, it had overloaded. That had never happened before. This was not possible. "I must go," she said quickly, stepping back. But the man wasn't letting this go so easily. "Wait, you're not from around here, are you?" Zyra's eyes flickered. Humans were curious creatures. It was dangerous to reveal too much. She shook her head. "No." The man wiped his hands on his jeans, extending one toward her. "I'm Liam." Zyra hesitated, then carefully shook his hand. Another shock ran up her arm, not painful, but powerful. A connection. She snatched her hand back, staring at him. Liam raised an eyebrow. Huh, that was weird. Zara took another step back. She needed to get away from him, get back to her ship, and analyze the data. I must go, she repeated, turning swiftly and walking away. But as she disappeared into the crowd, her thoughts swirled like a storm. If the device was not malfunctioning, if the readings were correct, then Liam, a simple human, was somehow her perfect genetic and emotional match. Impossible. And yet, for the first time in her life, Zara felt something she could not explain. A connection. Something stronger than logic. Something dangerous. The scientist versus the truth. Zara sat alone in her ship, the glow of alien technology casting a soft blue light across her face. The Soulmate device lay before her, broken and flickering. It was a piece of technology designed with absolute precision. It did not make mistakes. And yet, the impossible had happened. She had touched a human, and the device had gone into overload. Zara clenched her jaw. There must be a logical explanation. Her slender fingers danced over the holographic controls of her ship's analysis system. She uploaded the last recorded data from the device, watching as numbers and symbols flashed across the screen. Her heart pounded, a rare, unsettling feeling for someone of her species. The result came back in clear, undeniable text. Perfect genetic and emotional compatibility detected. Zara exhaled sharply. This should not be happening. The Stellari had studied countless species, searching for the rare, near-mythical soulmate connections. They had found them among their own kind, among a few advanced alien races, but never in a primitive species like humans. Humans were flawed, ruled by emotions, unpredictable in their thoughts and actions. And yet, the moment she touched Liam, something inside her had shifted. She had felt something. Not pain, not discomfort, but a strange, foreign pull, like gravity itself had changed. Her hands trembled slightly as she pulled up a biological scan of herself. What she saw made her blood run cold. Her neurotransmitter activity had spiked at the moment of contact. Not just a small increase, but an explosive reaction, one she had never seen before. It was as if her body recognized him in ways beyond science. A deep unease settled in her chest. If this was true, what did it mean? Liam, the variable she couldn't ignore. Liam sat in his dimly lit garage, the scent of engine grease and warm metal filling the air. He absent-mindedly wiped his hands on a rag, but his mind was elsewhere. What the hell had just happened? The strange woman, Zara, she had called herself, had literally lit up when he touched her. Her wrist device had freaked out, sparks flying, like some kind of sci-fi malfunction. And her reaction, she had looked at him like she had just seen a ghost. Liam wasn't an idiot. He had seen weird things in his life. But this was next level. He had to find her again. Not just because of the crazy tech, but because of the way she looked at him, like he was something impossible. And maybe, just maybe, he wanted to know why his own heart had reacted too. A meeting written in the stars. Zara tried to avoid him. She stayed hidden, observing from the shadows, trying to disprove the impossible. Every night, she ran the data through her ship's computers, looking for an error. But there was no error. Each time she reviewed the results, it told her the same thing. Liam was her perfect match. For days, she fought against it. Then, against all logic, she found herself walking back into the human city. And she found him. Liam was outside his garage, leaning against the hood of an old battered car, staring at the sky. When he saw her, his eyes widened. "Well, if it isn't the mystery woman," he said, pushing himself off the car. "Thought I'd never see you again." Zara hesitated. Every part of her training told her to turn away, to retreat. But her heart, or whatever this human had awakened inside her, refused to listen. "I require information," she said carefully. Liam smirked. "That's funny. I was just about to say the same thing. He gestured for her to sit on the car hood beside him. Zira hesitated but eventually joined him, her movements stiff, unnatural. "You're not from around here," he said after a moment of silence. It wasn't a question. Zira stared ahead, watching the stars twinkle above. They looked so different from here. "No, I am not." Liam let out a slow whistle. "Damn. I was kinda joking. But now, I don't even know what to say." Zira turned to face him. "When I touched you, something happened." Liam's smirk faded. "Yeah, no kidding." She hesitated. "I have a device. It measures compatibility between life forms. It should not react to humans. Ever. And yet." Liam's brow furrowed. "Wait. Are you saying?" Zira exhaled. "I am saying that, scientifically, you are supposed to be my perfect mate." Silence. Liam blinked. Then he let out a short, almost nervous laugh. "Oh. Wow. That's a..." He rubbed the back of his neck. "I mean, you're beautiful and all, but this is, kind of a lot." Zira frowned. "You do not seem displeased." Liam gave a small shrug. "I mean, if an alien told you that you were their perfect match, wouldn't you at least be a little curious?" Zira had no answer for that. For the first time in her life, she was experiencing something she could not explain. And the worst part, a small, irrational part of her didn't want to run away anymore. A dangerous discovery. Zira sat inside her spacecraft, staring at the damaged Soulmate device. It lay on her workstation, cracked, flickering, and unreadable. Her hands, usually steady and controlled, trembled as she hovered over the diagnostic panel. She had spent the last 6 hours running tests. The results were always the same. Liam was her perfect genetic and emotional match. It wasn't a malfunction. The device had confirmed it multiple times. And yet, the implications were terrifying. Her people, the Stellari, were one of the most advanced species in the galaxy. Their society thrived on logic, structure, and genetic compatibility. They had built their civilization by removing all emotional distractions, relying on science to guide their future. And now the most precise piece of Stellari technology had just claimed that her soulmate was a human, a species known for their chaos, unpredictability, and primitive emotions. She exhaled, trying to calm her thoughts. This was not just a mistake. This was a threat to everything she had been taught. Her people would never accept this. Her thoughts were interrupted by a soft ping from her ship's communication system. A message from High Command. Zira's stomach tightened as she opened it. A holographic projection flickered to life, and the cold, stern face of Overseer Xyros appeared before her. His expression was unreadable, but his voice carried the weight of authority. "Zira, we have detected an anomaly in your Soulmate device." Zira's fingers curled into a fist. Of course, they had detected it. Stellari technology was too advanced to malfunction without raising alarms. She forced herself to remain calm. "It was an error, Overseer. I am running diagnostics now." Xyros didn't blink. His glowing silver eyes bore into her. "The device has never made an error before." Zira swallowed. "I destroy it." His voice was sharp, leaving no room for argument. "Remove all traces of the anomaly and return to the ship immediately." Zira's breath caught in her throat. Destroy it. They wanted her to erase the data, to pretend this never happened. She hesitated. "I require more time to analyze the readings." Xyros' eyes narrowed. "Do not delay, Zira. If the anomaly persists, we will take further action." The message ended abruptly, the hologram fading into nothingness. Zira's pulse raced. She knew what further action meant. If she failed to comply, the Stellari would send an extraction team. Not just for her, but for Liam. She had no choice. She had to leave. Now. Liam, unaware of the danger, Liam wiped his hands on an old rag, his mind far from the broken car engine in front of him. It had been 3 days since Zara had come to him with her crazy revelation. 3 days since she told him that he was her perfect match. And then, she disappeared. No calls, no explanations, just vanished. Liam didn't know why it bothered him so much. He had only just met her, but something about that night, the way her eyes locked onto his, the way she spoke with such certainty, had stuck in his mind. And if he was being honest, the moment he touched her, something had changed in him too. His thoughts were interrupted by a sudden click behind him, a door unlocking. His instincts kicked in as he spun around, only to find Zara standing in the doorway of his garage. She looked different, tense, uncertain, almost afraid. "I need your help," she said. Liam blinked. Okay. With what?" She stepped forward, glancing around as if she expected someone to be watching. "We need to leave. Now." Liam frowned. "What? Leave where? What's going on?" Zara hesitated, then took a deep breath. "My people know about you. About the connection." Liam's stomach dropped. "And that's a problem." "Yes," Zara said flatly. "They ordered me to erase all evidence. That includes my device, my research." She swallowed hard. "And you." Liam felt a cold chill crawl up his spine. "Wait. Are you saying your people might eliminate you?" Zara's voice was tight. "They see you as an anomaly, something that should not exist. If they capture you, they will study you, and then they will erase you." Liam let out a breath, running a hand through his hair. "Jesus, this is a lot to take in." "We don't have time," Zara said urgently. "They will send an extraction team. We need to get as far away as possible before." A loud hum filled the air, making the ground vibrate beneath them. Zara's face paled. "No." Liam looked up. A massive silver ship had just appeared above the city, its surface reflecting the moonlight like liquid metal. The air crackled with energy as beams of light scanned the ground. Zara grabbed Liam's wrist. "They're here." Liam barely had time to react before the air exploded around them. The hunt begins. A blinding flash erupted as a group of Stellari enforcers materialized from the beams of light. Their sleek silver armor glowed with neon blue energy, their eyes cold and emotionless. Liam barely had time to move before Zara pushed him behind cover, drawing a small cylindrical device from her belt. A pulse of energy shot out, knocking over the first enforcer. The others reacted immediately, raising their shock weapons. Zara grabbed Liam's arm. "Run." Liam didn't need to be told twice. He sprinted beside her, weaving through the wreckage of his garage as energy bolts blasted past them. "This is insane," Liam shouted as they leaped over a car hood. "You wanted answers." Zara shot back, pulling him toward a dark alley. "Here they are." Liam's breath was ragged, his mind racing. A few days ago, he was just a normal guy fixing cars and struggling to pay rent. Now he was running for his life from aliens because he was somehow the soulmate of an advanced species, and for some stupid, insane reason. A part of him didn't want to let Zara go. The hunt begins. Liam's heart pounded in his chest as he sprinted beside Zara, dodging behind an abandoned car just as another energy blast tore through the air. The Stellari enforcers were relentless. Their sleek silver armor reflected the dim glow of the city's streetlights, their cold, emotionless eyes scanning the area with precise efficiency. They'd move like ghosts, silent, swift, unstoppable. Liam ducked lower, pressing his back against the cold metal of the car. "Okay, just to be clear," he gasped, trying to catch his breath. "Your people aren't exactly thrilled about me existing, huh?" Zara's violet eyes flicked toward him, sharp and calculating. "They see you as an error that must be corrected." Liam exhaled sharply. "Awesome. Love that for me." A high-pitched hum filled the air. Liam's stomach dropped as he realized what was happening. One of the enforcers had just activated a scanning drone. The small spherical machine floated above the wreckage, its red light sweeping over their hiding spot. Liam turned to Zira. "We gotta move." Zira nodded. "On my signal." The drone's red light edged closer. Liam could feel the heat of it, like an invisible hand brushing against his skin. He held his breath. Zira suddenly grabbed his wrist. "Now." Before Liam could process what was happening, she yanked him forward, not away, but straight toward the enforcers. Liam barely had time to yell before Zira flicked her wrist, releasing a small metallic device that clattered onto the pavement. A split second later, boom! A blinding shockwave of blue energy erupted outward. Liam felt himself lifted off his feet, tumbling through the air before crashing down onto the pavement. His ears rang. The air smelled like burnt ozone and metal. Liam groaned, pushing himself up on shaky arms. "Are you insane?" Zira was already moving, grabbing his arm and pulling him up. It was a localized EMP. It disabled their tracking systems for 60 seconds. Liam blinked. "So we've got a whole minute before they're back on our asses." Zira didn't answer. She was too busy dragging him toward a nearby alley. Liam's head was still spinning. 1 second, he was just a mechanic struggling to make ends meet. The next, he was on the run from aliens because of some soulmate tech gone wrong. He barely knew Zira, and yet some part of him trusted her completely. A brief respite, but not for long. They ran for what felt like forever, weaving through the dark streets until they finally stumbled into a rundown warehouse on the outskirts of the city. Zira slammed the door shut behind them, locking it with a strange-looking device that she pressed against the metal. A small energy field shimmered over the entrance. Liam collapsed onto the ground, gasping for breath. "Okay," he wheezed. "Can we just pause for a second? Maybe take a moment to appreciate that I have not, in fact, been vaporized." Zira didn't respond. She was too busy scanning the area, her fingers tapping rapidly on a small holographic console that had appeared on her wrist. Liam frowned. "Zira?" She exhaled sharply. "They'll find us again. It's only a matter of time." Liam let out a dry laugh. "Right. Of course. Because things weren't already going great." Zira hesitated, then turned to face him. Her expression was unreadable. "I need to know something," she said. Liam raised an eyebrow. "Sure. Fire away." Zira took a slow breath. "Back at the garage, when I told you about the device, about the match, you didn't run." Liam stared at her. "Well, yeah, you kinda dropped a massive bomb on me. I needed time to process." Zira's gaze didn't waver. "And now, after all this?" Liam hesitated. He had 1,000 reasons to walk away, to tell Zira she was on her own, that he never asked for any of this. But the words wouldn't come, because the truth was, something inside him had changed. Ever since he met Zira, he had started feeling different, stronger, sharper, like some unseen force was awakening inside him. His reflexes were quicker. His mind was clearer. It was subtle, but undeniable. "I don't know what's happening to me," Liam admitted, rubbing the back of his neck. "But I feel like if I walk away now, I'll regret it." Zara's violet eyes flickered with something he couldn't quite place. "Then you have a choice," she said quietly. Liam swallowed. "A choice?" Zira nodded. "We keep running, and eventually my people will find us." She stepped closer, lowering her voice. "Or we stop running." Liam frowned. "And do what? Fight them?" Zira didn't flinch. "If they see humans as inferior, then we prove them wrong." Liam let out a breath. "That's a hell of a plan." A sudden thud from outside made them both freeze. Zira's eyes darted to the door. "They found us." Liam gritted his teeth. He was done running. The first strike. The door exploded inward, sending metal debris flying across the warehouse. Liam barely had time to dive for cover as 3 Valerian enforcers stepped inside. Zira moved instantly, drawing a sleek silver weapon from her belt and firing off rapid shots. One enforcer dodged. Another deflected the blast with a flick of his wrist, his suit absorbing the energy. Liam's mind raced. Think. Think. Then, his eyes landed on a rusted metal pipe nearby. He grabbed it without hesitation, rolling forward just as an enforcer lunged toward him. The enforcer swung, a blur of motion, but somehow, Liam's body moved before his mind could react. He ducked, the attack missing by inches. Liam didn't question it. He just moved. With a burst of speed, he whipped the pipe upward, smashing it against the enforcer's helmet. Sparks flew. The enforcer stumbled back, momentarily dazed. Zara's head snapped toward him, eyes widening. "You shouldn't be able to move like that," she breathed. Liam blinked. "What?" But before she could answer, the remaining enforcers charged. Zara's voice was sharp. "We need to get out of here. Now." Liam didn't hesitate. He grabbed her hand, pulling her toward the warehouse's back exit. They had no idea what awaited them outside. But one thing was clear. Liam was changing. And if the Valeri thought he was just a normal human, they were about to learn how wrong they were. The power of humanity. Liam's breath came fast and heavy as he sprinted alongside Zyra, their footsteps pounding against the cold pavement of the abandoned industrial district. The Valeri enforcers were relentless, their silver-armored figures cutting through the shadows like predators closing in on wounded prey. His mind was racing. How the hell had he just done that? One moment, he was just a mechanic, an ordinary guy trying to figure out why an alien had told him he was her soulmate. The next, he was dodging attacks faster than his brain could even process. He had moved instinctively, like his body was operating on a level he didn't understand. And Zira had noticed. He stole a glance at her as they ducked behind a crumbling concrete wall. Her face was set in an unreadable expression, calculating, analyzing. He could almost hear the gears turning in her head. "All right," Liam whispered between breaths. "I think it's time for some explanations, because I just did something that shouldn't be possible." Zira nodded, her violet eyes scanning the area. "I know, and that's exactly why we're in even more danger than before." Liam groaned. "Fantastic. Just once, I'd like to hear good news." Zira didn't respond. Instead, she pressed a small device to her wrist, activating a holographic display. A series of glowing symbols scrolled across the air, too fast for Liam to read. She exhaled sharply. "It's as I feared. Your DNA is changing." Liam blinked. "Sorry, what?" Zyra turned to him, her voice firm but urgent. "The moment we touched, the moment my soulmate device activated, it didn't just detect a match." She hesitated. "It triggered something in you." Liam stared at her. "Are you saying, what your alien tech rewired my DNA?" Zara's jaw tightened. "No, it didn't alter you. It unlocked something that was already there." Liam shook his head. "That makes zero sense. I'm human. You said your people don't even." "Humans were never studied in depth by my kind," Zyra interrupted. "We deemed your species primitive, unremarkable." Liam snorted. "Wow. Thanks." She ignored the comment. "But this changes everything. Your reflexes, your enhanced speed, these aren't accidents. Your body is adapting, evolving, faster than anything I've ever seen." Liam's stomach twisted. "Okay, cool. But if that's true, then why me? Why now?" Zara hesitated. "Because we were never supposed to touch." Before Liam could process that, a sharp metallic voice rang through the air. "They are here." Liam's head snapped up. A Valeri enforcer stood just beyond the broken wall, his silver armor gleaming under the flickering streetlight. His cold, artificial voice sent a chill down Liam's spine. The human is unstable. He must be contained. Fighting back. The enforcer moved fast, too fast. In an instant, he closed the distance, swinging a glowing energy blade toward Liam's head. Liam's body reacted before his brain did. He ducked just in time, the blade missing him by mere inches. A rush of instinct surged through him, and without thinking, he lunged forward, twisting at the last second and slamming his elbow into the enforcer's midsection. The armored figure staggered back. Not much, but enough for Zira to raise her own weapon and fire a pulse blast straight into its chest. The enforcer collapsed, twitching, his armor sparking. Liam panted. Okay, that was new. Zira grabbed his arm. We need to leave now. They took off again, weaving through the ruined streets. But Liam's mind was spinning. He should be exhausted. He should be slowing down. But instead, his body felt stronger, sharper. Something inside him was awakening. And that terrified him. The hidden truth. They finally reached a small underground hideout, one Zira had prepared in case of emergencies. The moment they were inside, she activated a holographic security field, sealing the entrance. Liam collapsed onto a crate, running a hand through his hair. All right. I need answers, and I need them now. Zira didn't hesitate this time. She activated another holographic projection, this one showing genetic sequences, energy signatures, and complex symbols Liam couldn't make sense of. This, she said, pointing at the display, is your genetic structure before our contact. She swiped her hand across the hologram. A new genetic structure appeared, one that pulsed with strange energy. This is your genetic structure now. Liam swallowed. That's different. Zira nodded. Your DNA has latent potential, something my people never recognized before, something that was dormant, until our connection triggered it. Liam frowned. You're saying humans have hidden abilities. Zira hesitated. Not all humans. Just you. Liam's blood ran cold. Wait, just me. She nodded. Whatever this is, it's unique to you. That's why my people want you gone. They don't know what you are, and that makes you a threat. Liam's hands curled into fists. So what do we do? Zira met his gaze. We fight back. Liam let out a sharp laugh. Great. Against an entire alien race. No pressure. Zira's lips curled into the smallest smirk. If humans are as resourceful as you claim, I'd say the odds are in our favor. Liam exhaled, shaking his head. He had no idea what was happening to him. But one thing was clear. He was done running. If the Stellari wanted to erase him, then they'd have to face the one human they'd underestimated. The final stand. Liam's pulse thundered in his ears as he stood beside Zira in the dimly lit underground hideout. The weight of everything he had learned sat heavy on his shoulders. He wasn't just a human anymore. He was something more. Something that scared an entire advanced alien race. For the past hour, Zira had been running calculations, gathering intel, and preparing for the inevitable. Liam had listened as she explained the truth, how her soulmate device had triggered something inside him, how the Stellari feared him, and how they were coming to end him. Zira turned from her glowing holographic display. We don't have much time. Liam exhaled sharply. Then we make it count. Her violet eyes locked onto his, searching. Are you sure? Once we do this, there's no going back. Liam smirked. I passed no going back when your people decided I was an anomaly that needed to be erased. He clenched his fists. They want to fight. Let's give them one. Zira hesitated for a fraction of a second before nodding. Then we need to take the battle to them. Liam raised an eyebrow. I was kinda thinking we'd let them come to us. Zira shook her head. If we wait, we'll be overrun. They will bring more enforcers, more ships. We cannot win a defensive battle. She turned the holographic display toward him. A massive ship hovered above the planet. A sleek silver fortress, easily the size of a city. The Stellari High Council is on that ship, Zyra explained. They're the ones who sent the order to eliminate you. If we can get aboard, we can force them to listen. We can make them see what you are. Liam crossed his arms. And if they don't listen? Zyra's gaze hardened. Then we take away their ability to make that decision. Liam let out a low whistle. Didn't think you had a rebellious side. Zyra gave him a ghost of a smile. I didn't either. Until I met you. The plan. The plan was insane. Step 1. Hijack a Stellari transport ship. Step 2. Use stealth tech to infiltrate the High Council's flagship. Step 3. Confront the Council and force them to stand down. Step 4. Pray it worked. They set out into the night, sticking to the shadows as they moved toward the city's outskirts. Stellari forces were everywhere, scanning for any sign of them. Liam felt different as they moved, his body more agile, his senses sharper. He could hear the soft whir of drones before they even came into sight. He could feel the presence of the enforcers before they stepped around a corner. Zyra had been right. Something inside him had changed, and he was done ignoring it. They'd reached the landing zone where Stellari ships were stationed. Sleek, triangular vessels floated above the ground, their engines humming with quiet energy. Guards patrolled the perimeter, their glowing weapons at the ready. Liam cracked his knuckles. So, what's the plan? Sneak in. Zyra's lips curled slightly. Not exactly. She raised her wrist device, pressed a button, and the entire area plunged into darkness. Alarms blared. The power grid overloaded, sending blue sparks crackling across the sky. Before the guards could react, Liam was already moving. He didn't think, he just acted. His body surged forward, faster than he ever thought possible. He grabbed the nearest enforcer, twisting his arm and flipping him onto the ground with an impact that shook the earth. The second enforcer raised a weapon. Liam was already behind him. A single strike to the back of the head sent the alien crashing into the dirt. Zyra, meanwhile, moved like a shadow, her sleek alien blaster firing quick, precise bursts that disabled 2 more guards before they could react. Within seconds, the area was clear. Liam stood there, his chest rising and falling, stunned. He looked at his hands. How did I do that? Zyra stepped beside him. You're awakening, and you're running out of time to figure out why. She pointed to the now unguarded transport ship. Let's go. The infiltration. The ship's interior was silent as they slipped through the docking bay of the Stellari flagship. The corridors gleamed with an eerie silver glow, sleek and metallic, the air too sterile. Zyra led the way, her movements swift and precise, while Liam kept close behind, his senses on high alert. They were heading straight for the council chamber, the heart of the Stellari's decision-making power. Liam could feel something building inside him, a strange energy thrumming beneath his skin. He didn't understand it, but he knew, when the time came, he would need to use it. They turned a corner and walked straight into a wall of enforcers. Zyra cursed under her breath. A voice echoed through the air, cold, commanding. Surrender or be eradicated. Liam's fingers tightened into fists. Not this time. The final stand. The enforcers charge, weapons raised. Liam didn't hesitate. He moved faster than ever before, dodging their attacks with an agility that shouldn't be possible. One enforcer swung a glowing blade. Liam caught his wrist, twisting it in a single fluid motion that sent the weapon clattering to the ground. Zyra fired her weapon, stunning another before flipping over an attacker with perfect precision. Liam felt the energy inside him snap, a rush of heat, a surge of power. As an enforcer lunged at him, he threw out his hand, and an invisible shockwave of energy blasted outward, sending the alien flying across the corridor. Silence. Zyra stared at him, breathless. That wasn't normal. Liam exhaled, his hands trembling. No, it wasn't. But there was no time to dwell on it. The council chamber doors loomed ahead. And behind those doors, the people who wanted Liam dead. He turned to Zira, his heart steady. "Let's finish this."